What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You're dead meat! Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find a little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast, an extension of the YouTube channel Dead Meat. I'm James.
I'm Chelsea, and we're engaged, and we like to get scared together. Hey, you're back this week.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't here last week.
Yeah, it got a little too classy here last week, so we're doing the Fanatic.
Dude, the Fanatic.
The Fanatic. If you're not aware, it came out this year, the year of our Lord 2019, and it's a horror film, question mark. Is it a horror? I mean, there's a lot of references to horror in it, so we can get away with reviewing it for the podcast. But
like when Maniacs get name dropped.
Both the original and the remake.
That's right.
Yes. Okay, we'll save director for last. Starring John Travolta and Devon Sawa.
Yep.
Directed by Fred Durst.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit. And James and I kind of love Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
I will say for me, it started ironically, but there's like that, that Kurt Vonnegut quote about, I think it's from Mother Night, about be careful what you pretend to be because you'll become that thing.
Yeah.
I think that happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it was...
We were literally listening to Limp Bizkit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, to pump myself up for this podcast.
Yeah.
I actually put on their 2003 album, which I'd never really listened to, just to see what I was missing out on the Bizkit after their masterpiece, Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water, which I believe was their third full-length album.
That's the one with the weird album cover, right? The weird little, like...
Oh, like
critters.
the weird little alien thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there was $3 Bill, y'all, and then Significant Other, and then Chocolate Starfish.
Okay.
And that was the extent of my Limp Bizkit listening. I think those were Fred Durst's best years, probably, which was it was from like 99 to 2001.
Yeah.
Very short time.
Yeah.
Because then that 2003 album that I had put on, can't even remember the title of it. The singles didn't really chart.
Did we really only have them for just like that blip of time?
I think Faith came out in 97, maybe.
I love their cover.
I love that cover.
I think it's
Faith.
good. I want to play it at our wedding.
Fuck yeah. All right, great.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because like Faith started to get them on the scene, but then Significant Other was when they broke through with Nookie and Break Stuff.
Yeah.
And that was maybe 98. Maybe 99. So yeah, it was a very short time because like I said, that 2003 album didn't produce any big singles except for Behind Blue Eyes, which I didn't really care for. And then they went on hiatus for a while, and Fred Durst apparently started to direct.
Yeah, he's done other stuff besides this. I don't know where. It's weird. I knew that he had done other stuff, but for some reason I just deleted that information. And to me, this was I'm just going to make a weird movie thing. But no, he's done other movies, although...
There was one in 2007, one in 2008.
He did one where it's Ice Cube, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What's it called?
I don't...
Like Long Shots or something?
Something, and then the other one was like, was it The Education of some...
Of Charlie Kirk with Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah. So,
Jesse Eisenberg before... Social Network and
yeah.
Zombieland. So back when you could get Jesse Eisenberg. It was The Education of Charlie Banks in 2007, The Long Shots in 2008.
Or Charlie Banks. Charlie Kirk is like a conservative commentator, isn't he?
So yeah, that was all he did. And then I guess Limp Bizkit got back together in 2009, put his directing duties on hold for a while until 11 years later, The Fanatic, 2019.
The Fanatic came out.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a directorial style. Because...
The direction is not the worst part of this movie.
I'm just saying, if you look at his work,
yeah,
you would never guess that these were all done by the same person.
Sure, because Charlie Banks is a drama film, Wikipedia says?
It's a coming-of-age movie.
And then Long Shots is a comedy drama
It
sports
looks like a
film.
father-daughter comedy.
And then we have this. He also did an eHarmony commercial in 2014.
Oh, that's cool. We should find that. Do commercial work if you can get it. Pays very well.
Yeah.
The Fanatic... what to say about it? If you were on Twitter when this trailer came out, it was like Christmas, because I feel like this movie was made for us a little bit, or at least was made. You know how sometimes you feel like your phone is listening to you and your algorithm just this was like, is Fred Durst spying on us? Did he know that we wanted exactly this movie? I mean, it's got Devon Sawa on it, who we love on the podcast. I hope to be a guest on the podcast one day.
That'd be great. He's looking fantastic in
this
movie.
Dude, he looks good. He looks better than he's ever looked.
I told him as such when we met him this year at Monsterpalooza or Son of Monsterpalooza, one of the Paloozas.
Yeah.
Went and got a picture of Stan signed. Is that hanging up somewhere?
I don't think we bought a frame for it yet.
Okay, so yeah, we got a picture. It's a still from the Eminem music video for Stan, because Devon Sawa plays Stan, obviously, and he signed it, and then we chatted for a while, and we said that we had seen the trailer for the Fanatic, and we're really looking forward to seeing it, and he kind of laughed and was like, it's a good one to drink some beers to.
Yeah, he was very self-aware and funny about it. He's great. He's very self-effacing. We asked how it felt to be the origin of one of the biggest slang terms on the internet. And yeah.
He was like, I'm just happy to be a part of it, but really it was due to Eminem's genius.
Yeah, due to the great Marshall Mathers.
Yeah. He also, the last thing I said to him as we were leaving was like, dude, you look really good. Because like he's fucking ripped.
Good.
And
a lot of us watching this movie was us just like, I mean, he's a giant thirst trap. Yeah.
Well, he looks like fucking Daniel Craig in this movie.
He does, yeah.
But yeah, when I told him that in person, he immediately understood what I was saying. Because it's like it's two guys who work out being like, dude, nice gains. And he was like, thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Oh, man. Oh, come be on the podcast. It would just be us fawning over you. We have like nothing bad to say about him in this.
Yeah.
He's probably my favorite part.
Yeah.
He's really good. I honestly want to see him in more like, I want to, give him some heavy lifting to do and some stuff. He's good.
Yeah, in fact, one of my complaints about this movie is that there's not more of him.
Yeah,
it's
same.
Very John Travolta heavy.
Yes, it is.
And
so
I guess we should discuss his character, Moose.
All right, so the plot of this movie, if you somehow weren't exposed to this thing, if your internet algorithm didn't push this onto your feeds like it did ours, this is about it's kind of not misery. It's like an obsessive fan type situation. Devon Sawa plays this. I can't quite tell what level of famous he is.
It's weird because he's an actor.
Yes.
As we see in some films, but also in his house, he has awards for best monster makeup and best stunts.
I didn't see, though. I think I was writing and didn't notice that he had monster makeup.
Yeah,
really.
Those are different jobs. The actor
very different
doesn't
jobs.
get the award for best makeup, and they're probably, in most cases, not doing their own stunts. Although maybe Devon Sawa...
Did he just buy those off Hollywood Boulevard? Because if you're on Hollywood, which most of this movie takes place literally on Hollywood Boulevard, there's all those stores you can buy fake Oscars from, and they'll say literally anything on them. Maybe just bought some of those to like fill out the empty spaces in his trophy shelf. So Devon Sawa is an actor, who does a lot of horror movies, and John Travolta plays Moose, who is an obsessed fan of is it Hunter Duncan?
Hunter Dunbar.
Hunter Dunbar.
That is Devon Sawa's
Devon
character.
Sawa's character. Boy, where to start?
Well, let's start with the fact that Moose is autistic.
Moose is autistic, and I think John Travolta has said in interviews that this character is written and played that way.
Yes.
He is supposed to be autistic. So it sucks because there's two halves of this for me. One half is watching John Travolta play this role is objectively hilarious to me. The haircut, the everything, because it's John Travolta. But the other half of it is this movie's mean.
It is.
This movie's mean, and this character, I can see if you're watching this and you are familiar with autism or someone you know is autistic, this movie would be hurtful, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's really hard to talk about because especially as people with fans. Like, we've met tons of fans. They're all awesome. On the very rare occasion you get someone who maybe isn't as good with social boundaries as other people.
No, but I have never felt unsafe.
Definitely not. Yeah, I've never felt unsafe. But like, so like the kernel of his character has some truth to it, but then the movie makes him a villain.
Right.
And it's weird,
Yeah.
especially with the ending and how graphic things get.
I'm just not sure. And again, I don't think that. Okay, let me preface. I don't think that movies necessarily have to have an obvious message to them.
Yeah.
If you don't want, I don't think every movie you should be able to leave and automatically know what it's saying or know what it's trying to do. I think there are totally films where you can watch them and just, what the fuck did I just watch? And if you never figure out what the director's or writer's intent was, that's fine. I don't think this is operating on that level of artistry, though. And I'm so curious, like, what is it trying to say? And I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. Like, what is this really about? I don't know. I don't know if I could tell you what the main through line of it is.
I mean, I guess the through line is this is a horror story that explores what happens when obsessive fandom becomes dangerous.
Right.
But then you mix in the autism part.
That's what's
it gets real,
because there are totally, and other things have done it well. That's why I brought up Misery is like the big one where there are ways to explore toxic fandom and
which is
the demands we place on creators and artists and the entitlement or feeling like you're friends with someone even though which are all very worthy things to explore. Like it was being explored in Misery, but nowadays with like online stars and fan culture just being so mainstream now. I think that's like ripe for a horror movie. Is
Definitely.
That kind of like YouTuber audience relationship.
Yeah.
Especially where we're not like vloggers, like we don't talk about our personal lives, but someone who really opens up and their entire personal life is out there, that line between someone you're watching and someone you kind of think you're friends with gets really blurred and I don't know. So like there's something to do there, but like this is not this feels kind of like a rant about fans that have been weird to Fred Durst or even John Travolta. It just feels like I don't know, like a manifesto about fans that creep them out, and it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
This movie does not draw the line between fans that are maybe awkward and have trouble discerning those boundaries and fans that are legitimately dangerous, because I think it's important to separate those into two different categories, because just because someone is socially awkward or is on the spectrum doesn't mean they're dangerous.
For sure.
And so that's why
most of the time they're not.
And because I still do want to do a goof around with this movie because it is legitimately so fucking weird and hilarious. And John Travolta's first line is about needing to poop. Great, love it. Like there's so much funny about it, but I think we should talk about the serious stuff before we get into the fun, so that we're all 100% on the same page, that we are not making fun of the things depicted here. I'm making fun of the fact that John Travolta has a haircut that is like shaved above and around his ears. It's John Travolta being this character versus who that character actually is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And so I actually messaged, and we delayed the podcast a bit this week because my mom was in town. I got a wedding dress.
Yeah.
We were doing wedding stuff, but so I said yes to a dress. So exciting. But because I delayed the podcast, I realized, if I have like an extra day or whatever to do this might give my sister some time to watch this movie. And my sister, she works with autistic kids. I've talked about her before. She sent me her like official job title because I'm just like, what is your actual job? I just always say like, vaguely like works with autistic kids.
Yeah.
And she does ABA therapy, which is applied behavior analysis, and she's going to get her master's in it. So, she's like a behavior tech person. So just to specify, so she works with autistic kids and she loves it. It's something she's really, really passionate about. And so I thought, I could have Rachel watch this movie, and maybe.
Did you give her a warning that it was?
She knows it's going to be a horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah. She was simultaneously like blown away and upset, and I think it was just a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
But she wrote up some really cool things about it for me so we could talk about it in
Oh,
like
cool. I'd love to hear that.
a more informed context instead of just
Yeah.
because we don't know what we're talking about. We review movies,
Yeah.
and that's about it. So yeah, she watched it, and she was able to kind of give some insight onto like what she thinks is maybe weird with this character and why stuff like this is overall, it's harmful, unfortunately. I think it's both hilarious and harmful. Again, it's separating the idea of watching John Travolta ride around on a motorcycle that looks a little too small for him.
It's a moped, yeah.
It's a moped, okay,
Yeah.
versus like weird portrayals of autism. That's the troubling part. But she says, right off the bat, like the first line about, oh, I need to poop. He walks in, and that's funny. But she says it's immediately just that stereotype of people with autism are childish.
I can't talk too long. I gotta poo.
I kind of just want to read what she messaged me
Please,
because
yeah.
it's really nice. She wrote like a legit essay.
Oh.
It runs in the family, I guess. So she says a lot of her thoughts are the acting like a kid thing. It's a common and dangerous misconception about people with autism or similar disorders. Some examples in the movie are the poop line. When he's at the bar, he asks for a milkshake. He constantly wants ice cream.
All that money, no ice cream.
He didn't know what bolt cutters were and didn't ask what they were, so he brought scissors instead. And he says stuff like, "You're not my mom," when he's fighting with Leah, who is Leah.
We'll get into that.
Wikipedia says Leah is his friend, and I don't believe that.
Yep.
Travolta seemed to look up some stereotypical symptoms of autism and just kind of sprinkled them in there instead of an actual character, like the rocking back and forth, lack of eye contact, and the big one, which is the cause of his stalking is this obsessive behavior, the obsession with a certain topic or extensive knowledge on a topic. That's like a big hallmark of being on the spectrum. I'm assuming not 100% of the time, but that's, these symptoms vary from person to person, but the interest in one subject is not the same as an unhealthy obsession. So that's where she says it's important to draw the line, is like an unhealthy obsession is one thing, but a really devoted interest in one thing is, those are different things, and one does not necessarily imply the other. They kind of blur the lines with delusion and psychotic behaviors, making it seem like autism and psychotic symptoms are intertwined, which is not the case.
Oh, so that would probably be when he's imagining Hunter at the signing table being like, "Here, come here. I want to sign your thing, Moose."
She says, although psychotic symptoms are higher in people with autism spectrum disorder than the general population, psychotic symptoms like hallucinations and delusions don't mean that a person will stalk someone and commit serious crimes. So, and they also, and this is, I agree with this just on a filmmaking level. So it's interesting to see how this kind of stood out to someone looking at it from a more medical or scientific angle versus me looking at it from a storytelling angle. Moose doesn't really have a clear moral compass. Like, who is Moose? I don't really know what his deal is. He has like a few healthy friendships with people that they appear to have okay boundaries, like Leah.
Or the guy who works at the souvenir shop that he talks to in the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah. And he knows that pickpocketing is bad and that drugs are bad. But he's easily convinced by Leah to break and enter, and then he uses the same techniques to break into Hunter's house later. And then there's the thing where he doesn't realize he hurt and then killed the maid.
Oh, yeah.
But he does realize that he hurt Hunter with the knife. So there's just weird inconsistencies there. Like, what is his whole deal? And she says even the haircut and outfit, which I do think are very funny, they are stereotypical. It's the idea of someone with autism being really childish. He's even got a backpack with like pins and keychains on it and stuff.
Which plenty of people have.
Oh,
so
I
don't
do.
feel bad.
Yeah, I do. My side of the office looks like a 10-year-old works there, and it's fine. And then lastly, she says meltdowns are really common for people with ASD, or they can be common, I should say. But Moose's meltdowns that quickly become violent are kind of it's kind of implies that if someone who is having a meltdown like that and is on the spectrum has the potential to become violent, which is, again, those things are not correlated. So those are just some things she said as a professional. And again, it's not saying, oh, we're so offended by, but it's just, I asked her to look and, tell me what's going on here and what do you think about this character? And so that's a professional's opinion on Moose. So, and she really thinks that she Googled ASD symptoms and she thinks John Travolta just did the same thing and read all the behaviors and that's his character. Because when you Google, she even sent me a screen cap. Behavior, compulsive behavior, impulsivity, inappropriate social interaction, repetition of words or actions, poor eye contact, repetitive movements or self-harm, speech delay, interest in a limited number of things, anxiety, a change in a voice, sensitivity to sound, or just tics in general. So it does feel like a very surface level. This movie is not interested in exploring that aspect deeply or humanely.
I just have thoughts going through my head because I feel like adhering to at least those specific symptoms is, specifying a disorder for this character to have. Mm-hmm. And is that better or worse than a movie that may have come out 20, 30 years ago where, like Kathy Bates in Misery, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. But as far as I remember, it's not so much a specific disorder as it is she's a crazy lady.
Sure.
And I feel like in decades past, 90s and earlier, there was more of a tendency to just have generalized craziness going on instead of like being like, oh, this person has like bipolar or antisocial or like narcissist. Instead of honing in on something, it's just they're crazy. So is it better or worse to have a character who is perhaps more I hesitate to say realistic,
but something that's done a bit more specifically rather than like, oh, let's just make him a crazy weird person.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's better
I genuinely
or worse.
don't know how to answer that.
Because it's
the person to answer it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, because like, I wonder, even if it's more realistic in a way, is it also more harmful? Because then you have a character that more closely resembles real life people who, on average and overwhelmingly, will not be dangerous or violent like this character.
Right. We talked about that in our transgender representation episode. Again, using the example of movies that we love. It is unfortunate when the only kind of representation on film we have of transgender people are ones that are villainous or that they are psychotic, and that demonstrating that those things are intertwined and that someone who is transgender is more prone to snap or is capable of murder or crime. And so I don't know. I see both sides of that. Is it better or worse to have a more defined character like this? Because it's unfortunate when this is the portrayal of that.
Yeah.
I don't know,
man.
Yeah.
All I know is that it feels mean to me.
It is, yeah. This movie kind of hates everyone in it. It's weird.
It's kind of a
Hunter isn't
character.
great either.
That's the thing is, yeah.
No one in this movie's good. There's no one I'm kind of rooting for or feeling for. I can't tell if I'm supposed to feel bad for Moose or if I'm supposed to like him.
That's the thing is I really can't tell.
I have no idea. And I don't know what the intent is. And I would love to know if this is, I'm writing this weird guy because this is how, I've met people like this and they're weird and scary versus, yeah, sure, there's fans out there that are obsessive, but I'm going to give him some humanity. I don't know.
This is a tough one, folks.
It's tough. I wanted this to be more fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of not there because there's so much on, loaded into this that I don't know how to.
Especially hard and I'm not trying to inflate anything, but like as people with fans, it's also especially hard because I don't want to, I don't know.
No, I see what you mean.
We have fans.
Yeah.
And so a movie about an obsessive fan who is the villain of the movie seems weird to comment on.
I guess, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. But I am really lucky to come from a background where I do have family who work with people on the spectrum,
Yeah.
and so I have a better understanding
And
of
I
what that entails.
have
and
a degree in brain
Yeah.
behavior and cognitive
So
science.
this
So I've
is
studied
not-
disorders.
So we
like,
very clearly recognize when meeting people that this does not mean someone is dangerous. or
yeah, if you're a
scary.
fan and you happen to be on the spectrum or you have whatever you have going on, don't think that because we might get into this review and start laughing at some things, don't feel afraid
to talk to
talk to us.
or
Yeah,
to
we're not
meet
afraid
us
of you.
no.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
good, man.
I always, I always love meeting people. It's always the best. I always feel really good after.
Mhm.
I'm never, you guys are all really great.
Yeah, I've
and
never
sweet.
felt scared or anything like that.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
like never feel nervous about
Don't think
talking to
we're
us.
taking the wrong things away from this
right.
movie.
If you have if social cues or if you have difficulty in situations like that, we understand.
yeah.
But I also want to be able to laugh at this absolutely buttfuck crazy movie. It's so crazy. It's
I think we should start.
Yeah.
Because I think there's nothing else to say other than
we did the serious stuff. And by the way, I tweeted about this, but I am, because it's been so requested, I am going to work on an episode of the podcast about like mental disorders in horror, because the tropes are there's
I wonder
so
if you
many.
could get it ready in time for your sister's visit and have her on it. I don't
Maybe.
know. Just throwing it out there. I don't want to put any pressure on
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. We'll see.
you. Okay.
No guarantees, but that would be very cool. So that one and queer representation are going to be two big ones for next year for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Thumbs up. All right, let's talk about the movie itself. Having had the intellectual discussion about it that it maybe deserves. Now we can. I think we've laid a foundation of showing that we understand what's bad about this.
Yeah, and whenever we mentioned like John Travolta did this, that's also because he is a co-producer.
Yeah.
Like he's not just acting in this movie. This movie was made by Fred Durst and John Travolta.
Yeah.
I think.
Which-
yeah.
How did that happen?
How did that happen? I want to know, audience, please do this legwork for me if you can. Were there any movies where John Travolta starred in that used Limp Bizkit music? I want to know this.
I do want to know there is, I'm sad I didn't do this before we started recording, but aren't there websites that'll do the degrees away from,
Sure.
they're just like an IMDb
I don't know if that applies to
bot.
if it would find Fred Durst if a soundtrack listing had Limp Bizkit. You
Yeah.
know? I don't know.
I don't know.
Also, a thought that I had during this was, did John Travolta know who Devon Sawa was before this movie was made? There's
we
a
did not.
chance that he didn't.
We had a quick discussion about it, and I don't know.
Because Pulp Fiction is 94. That is adult-ass John Travolta,
Yes.
the second coming of John
Oscar, like that movie was huge.
When is Casper? 90.
Casper's early 90s, I thought.
95 or earlier. So Pulp
But
Fiction.
also a kid movie.
Exactly. Pulp Fiction. John Travolta's probably not watching Casper.
Right. I
Final
don't-
Destinations 2000. John Travolta in
Adult as
2000.
John Travolta is not.
Probably not
I
watching.
cannot
Final
think of a
Destination.
single moment in John Travolta's life where he would,
Yeah.
So it's possible he had no idea who Devon Sawa was.
Maybe he was into Eminem.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Hey, want to talk about our sponsor this week, Liquid Death?
Yeah.
You just ordered another case, right?
Yeah, because we got TLC tables, ladders, and chairs coming up this weekend. All the wrestling pay-per-view parties I have now, I order Liquid Death.
Yes, I mean, I guess full transparency, we were given a case to try out, and then we just kept getting them because
Yeah.
they're great when we have people over.
They're great when you have a party and, people like their individual
Yeah,
drinks.
and you don't have enough glasses or,
Yeah, it's really convenient and it helps people drink water, which is important.
definitely better than a plastic water bottle. I would never do ads for plastic water bottles on this podcast. I find them weird. I don't like the idea of advertising for them because they're so wasteful. Luckily, aluminum cans are a lot easier to recycle than plastic. Apparently, all the aluminum produced since 1888, 75% of it's in current use,
Oh, that's
which
pretty
is
cool.
crazy. Yeah, it's like so much more recyclable than plastic, which just kind of sits there. And I didn't know this. I'm reading our notes here. I guess that environmental economists are saying that it's better for the earth to just put your plastic in the garbage so it goes straight to a landfill instead of using up the trucking distance it takes to bring it to like a recycling plant and
Oh,
then
no.
the landfill. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And they also, Liquid Death also donates 5 cents from every can sold to help clean up plastic pollution and bring clean drinking water to those in need.
Oh, that's good.
So if you want to try Liquid Death, it's only available in a handful of stores, so you have to order it online, which I actually find really convenient. You go to liquiddeath.com/deadmeat. You can get $2 off every case at liquiddeath.com/deadmeat, or if you want a free case, quote unquote free, there is the option on the website to sell your soul for a free case of Liquid Death.
Yeah.
You do sign a contract. It's binding for eternity.
Yeah, if you've already sold your soul elsewhere, don't be trying this.
Yeah.
That's fraud.
It is fraud. So again, go to liquiddeath.com/deadmeat. $2 off every case. Yeah.
Yeah! I also wonder, by the way, was there ever a conversation about Eminem? Because Fred Durst did not get along with Eminem.
No, that was a whole thing.
They had a feud.
That was at the VMAs and shit.
Yeah. So Devon Sawa in Eminem's music video, Fred Durst directing Devon Sawa, I wonder if he was like, yeah, this is way better than that Stan music video,
And it's
right?
weird because it's putting Devon Sawa in the Eminem role in the Stan video.
Yeah. Yeah. And then as opposed to John Travolta, I believe that Devon Sawa just acted in this. I didn't see his name in any
No,
kind of...
he got paid. Good for him. I'm very happy for him. He looks good in it.
Come on.
I was thinking, you know how at our wedding venue, we're going to get 2 custom cocktails, and typically you get a cocktail for each of the 2 people getting married. I think instead we'll just have ours be chocolate starfish and then hot dog flavored water.
Oh my God, that's so gross.
And then chocolate starfish could be like a dessert style shooter, you know?
Yeah.
And then I've thought about this.
Okay.
You can and then hot dog flavored water would be like bacon or like ham infused alcohol.
Oh man. I bet Gressel can make drinks that have those names that are delicious.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah. But
Things to think about. We'll have a Limp Bizkit bachelorette party.
my God.
We'll go see Limp Bizkit. Do they still perform?
I don't think so. He's busy making movies.
Yeah.
With art made by Wes Borland.
Well, it was also another guy. I wish I wrote his name down. There was another guy credited with those like weird chalk drawing sequences.
Yeah.
I think he did the actual drawings of them.
Oh.
I think maybe Wes Borland was like the creative, like this is what it should be like.
Oh, okay.
So I think it was a team effort. I don't want to.
Yeah, if you're
I think
unfamiliar,
it's like Adam Lima or something.
if you're not as into the Bizkit world as I was, look up Wes Borland. He was the bassist for Limp Bizkit. When the band started, he was just a guy with some piercings and like spiky hair. And he was like, oh, that guy's kind of weird. And then he started wearing all black contacts, so his eyes would be blacked out. And then they just exploded. The guy looks like an alien, and it's awesome.
I think there's posters of him in Moose's apartment because he's
Yeah.
scary looking, and Moose is a horror fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a very like
Why did everyone like turn to the millennium like 2000s?
thing of Marilyn Manson.
That Slipknot, like
Oh yeah,
everyone looked all weird. Everyone was scary looking.
dude. I mean,
Yeah, I kinda
what the
miss-
fuck else
I
are you gonna
miss
do in
it.
the late 90s?
I know.
It's the most
What a
boring
black
time.
hole of culture. But I also kind of miss just the weird shit we were doing as we're just grasping at anything to make it interesting. And that's what happened. Insane Clown Posse, you know, like what
Yeah.
the fuck? I like it. I get nostalgic for it and I shouldn't. So, okay.
All right, so Moose lives in Hollywood. He fucking works in Hollywood at Hollywood and Highland, right across the street from Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Yeah,
where Chelsea
it's
worked for a few years.
So weird because a lot of this movie is on Hollywood Boulevard,
it.
where like right where I worked, and yeah, there are character actors all over Hollywood Boulevard. It's the same. You see it in New York City. You see it anywhere that's like a major tourist city. Basically, like take a picture with them. You either have to tip them or whatever.
Yeah.
Some of them are nicer than others. Actually, one of the the character actor on Hollywood Boulevard actually just passed away. He was Hollywood Boulevard Superman. Everyone actually really loved him. He was always really sweet. Besides that, a lot of them are kind of scary. Hollywood SpongeBob is really scary and dirty.
Yeah. I mean, they're all kind of dirty.
They're all a little dirty.
Even the nicest ones.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so there's character actors, and John Travolta he's a
just
British
cop.
Bobby.
Yeah, he's just a Bobby.
And it is kind of hilarious how typically there would be so many more copyrighted characters running around Hollywood Boulevard, but this is just British Bobby, or guy who sticks nails in his nose while his friend pickpockets other people. It's a good grift, I guess. There's only so many times you can pull that, though.
Yeah.
Only so many times you can.
Because there are undercover cops there.
Dude, that's another Hollywood secret from me. Thing about Hollywood Boulevard, there are plainclothes cops everywhere. Like, I went to work one day and everyone was like, dude, you just missed it. Someone got stabbed, and out of nowhere, people saw it happen. I guess someone pulled out a knife and someone stabbed a guy, and out of nowhere, all of a sudden, just plainclothes cops just like rush in and they said it was the craziest shit. And I'm Hollywood Boulevard, man. It's the Wild West down there. I miss it. I miss the grossness of it. I do.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't miss the urine smell.
It smells pretty bad.
Like pee always.
That is, if you've never been to LA, that is where the Walk of Fame is. All the stars
That's
on the
where
sidewalk.
the Oscars are.
It's where the
They
Oscars
closed that
are.
block and
Dude, yeah,
red
that guy
carpet
got
up the
stabbed
street.
like right there.
Yeah, because we lived in Hollywood a few blocks away from that, but like I would go for runs. This was like 6 years ago, and I would run through like the Walk of Fame, and it just smelled like pee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yep. So that's what he does for work, I guess. He has a friend.
And this is his British accent.
Oh, it's real bad.
Oh, poppycock, have you seen the Queen? And he's got a crazy Mordecai mustache on and a little hat.
Welcome to Hollywood, where crimes are made of.
People are letting their kids take pictures with him.
I saw one guy.
That's true. Is that one dude living on the edge?
Yeah, his friend, Leah, so she's a paparazzo.
Yes.
Anytime I get to use that word singular, I will.
You know, I will say, in terms of like respect, I have character actors on Hollywood Boulevard so much higher up than paparazzi. Yeah.
Paparazzi, I guess, yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So she just takes pictures of other people and invades privacy for a living. Great. The actor doing it, she's good. She's solid.
I will say everyone's kind of doing, I mean, Travolta's doing his own thing, but
he's committed.
Everyone else is doing a good job in this.
Travolta's
committed.
Yes. A problem, like possibly problematic depictions aside, Travolta is all in on this fucking role.
Yeah.
He never breaks character. He's doing the thing.
Right.
Your opinion of the thing may vary, but yeah, so he's got this friend, but like how's he got this friend?
Sister, maybe?
That would
and
make more sense.
She's taking care of him, makes way more sense than just
because even it's like you're not my mom when they get into an argument. That would make sense to say to your sister who's trying to mother you.
Yeah, I just don't know what world this character would be living with. I think John Travolta's character.
Are they living together?
Are they?
Here's the thing. I took Devon Sawa's advice to heart, and I was 3 beers deep by the end of this movie because it was so difficult to watch otherwise. We literally watched it basically in 30-minute chunks because we would watch some, and then I would need to go get another beer and pause it.
Movie
30
makes
minutes down.
time slow
Yes, it does.
down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Leah came into Moose's world, how they're friends.
Yeah, and she's also narrating the movie.
That's fucking right.
We have this opening narration of Los Angeles, the city of bullshitters, and I'm just, oh boy, here we go.
I don't know why she's narrating this thing.
I don't either.
It's so...
We don't need it.
It feels like a last-minute decision.
I think it might have been. I think they edited this and watched it and realized we need a narrator because it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, maybe to explain some things or to make it feel more artsy. I don't know. But she helps him break into this fucking party.
Yes.
That Hunter Dunbar is supposed to be at.
Yeah, and he is he wearing the Rico vest at that point?
I don't know
There's
if
the whole
he's wearing
scene in
it.
a comic book shop where John Travolta goes and he buys a screen used vest that Hunter Dunbar wore in this vampire movie, playing a character named Rico.
Yeah, so it's like studded Rico. He wears it backwards. He looks like a rejected member of the Shield.
Yeah, and even the guy who sells it to him even says, you have it on backward, and he says, I don't care. And it's, I think because he wants to just have Rico. And then there's a whole montage of him riding around Hollywood on his moped. And
Leah helps him break into this party. This is when he brings scissors instead of bolt cutters.
Yes, and to this party, he wears his best horror shirt, is what he calls it.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
this was
that's
a
right.
custom-made horror shirt. It's just got, it looks like a John Lasseter shirt. I don't know how else to describe it. You could buy this shirt at a horror convention for sure. It's just got old horror, posters on it.
He's in this like gala event where everyone else is dressed up, but still, in Hollywood, you could probably get away walking around like him at this
Absolutely.
party.
If someone looking exactly like John Travolta in this was at an industry thing and someone else was like, oh, that's the head of blah blah studios, I would believe you 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you hit that level of in the hierarchy and you can dress however you want.
Whatever the fuck you want to do, man.
John Lasseter.
He sees another actor, I guess. At first, I was like, oh, is that Hunter's wife? The movie's not very good at explaining who people are, so I guess it's just a random actor, but her name's Amanda, and he goes up and is very uncomfortable with her, but he says she's a great final girl.
Yeah.
And is like, you should keep doing horror movies. And then eventually asks where Hunter Dunbar is, but apparently he's not going to be at that party that night.
Yeah.
And that sets him off.
Yeah, he gets mad and then gets kicked out.
While yelling for Leah. And then, so like, when they're breaking into the party, he's climbing over a wall or a fence or whatever. And she's like, okay, get in there and just get that autograph and get out of there. And so he goes in. We see him throughout. Now, you said you saw Leah in the background.
Yeah,
while
I
he's
saw
mulling
her,
about,
yeah.
But her line doesn't make sense. And then when he's being pulled out, he's like, Leah, he's calling for her. And there's just this awkward shot of her at the party by her, just be like,
there
who
eating.
knew?
I think she was invited, which I don't know why she would be.
Yeah, paparazzi.
Yeah.
They would not be fucking.
No.
This fucking movie.
This movie. His apartment, too, by the way. I kind of love the set decoration here. I wrote down that it looks like the Fangoria office.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Because there's horror stuff everywhere. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. The height of their interaction with each other, their clever interaction, is doing different ways of giving the other person the finger, stuff that you would learn when you're like 8, where it's like blowing and
yeah,
like
do the
cranking
fishing
the
reel,
Jack in the Box
Very
finger.
Cool.
Super funny.
This is where I wrote siblings ? Because we don't have it established or
Nope.
clarified what their relationship is. I kind of wish it was never clarified. I kind of like the mystery of it. So he finds out that Hunter is doing a book signing, so he's going to go and finally meet Hunter and get his vest signed and book signed. And Hunter, I think he gets to the front, and Hunter then has to take a break because his ex-wife just pulled up and back with their kid.
Who
And
he's supposed to watch.
there's by the way, I totally forgot to look and
to
clarify
see what the actual name
what
was.
is the kid's name.
Because
Okay, I am
think
gonna
it's
look.
Danny.
I think it's Danny too.
Later
but
on,
then
they
who is
land on
Tanner?
Danny. But earlier, they mention a guy named Tanner.
Someone mentions the name Tanner at some point.
And I wrote it down. His son, Tanner. Check. I'm good.
Maybe you could remember that I have a date tonight. And you said you would watch Tanny.
No.
Why? Yeah, and because we watched this with a friend of ours, and all three of us thought his son's name was Tanner. But then, oh wait, no, his son's name is Danny.
It's Danny. Danny Tanner.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
My best guess, without looking it up, because I don't fucking care, my best guess is that Tanner is his ex-wife's new partner.
That's what I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to go with then.
Yeah.
But I definitely wrote down that Tanner was his son, and that was wrong.
By the way, the script of this movie is so off the wall that I wrote down the quote, "You don't respect the boulevard," and I don't remember who says it.
It's because...
Is it Hunter or is it Moose?
Moose says it to the guy who is grifting the people on the boulevard by having his partner
That's
pickpocket
right.
them while he
Okay.
puts a nail through his nose.
It's because that note is, I have it written down right by that scene where Hunter's ex-wife shows up, and I thought, does he say that to her because she pulled up to argue custody with him? Like, you don't do this here. Yeah, you're not respecting the boulevard.
Oh, yeah, because the signing is at that souvenir shop or whatever on Hollywood Boulevard. I call bullshit. No celebrity is going to go to any kind of event at one of those fucking shops on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, I mean, those aren't comic shops either. Those are, again, you buy your fake Oscars there.
Yeah.
I think if you went a little farther down Hollywood, then you start getting into the kind of indie, like Meltdown, which doesn't exist anymore. That was on Sunset, I think.
Yeah,
but
that's Sunset. Sunset's way
Sunset's
different.
a little different.
I don't think actors are going to be going to Hollywood for anything other than Kimmel and the Oscars.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so Hunter is talking to his ex-wife and kid in like the alleyway, and fucking Moose comes up to him and tries to talk to him while he's having this conversation with his ex-wife, this custody conversation.
It's really uncomfortable, and of course Hunter's mean to him because he is in the middle of this really awkward conversation. Later, I think there's a scene after this where the Leah, the paparazzi lady, just foolishly gives Moose access to this Star Maps app.
Yeah, that shows where people live. And later she's like, I didn't expect you to use it to go to his house.
So
what the fuck
what
did you think?
Just to kind of look at aerial shots of his house longingly?
I guess, because when he calls her after he first uses it, he's like, I can't believe I'm 15 minutes away from whoever, because he's talking about Ben Affleck, James Franco, and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. And I'm saying that James Franco name drop, all I could think of was that in 10 years, there's going to be a movie about the making of this movie, and James Franco will play John Travolta, and he will recreate this scene where he says, I found James Franco's house. It's going to happen. Put a pin in it. He's going to win Oscars. Somehow still we're letting him be a thing.
Yeah, and one of the things that Moose really latches onto is that at some point Hunter has said in the past about fans, without you, we're nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
It's actually the quote that opens up this movie,
yeah, we need to
remember?
talk about that. The very first thing in this movie is a quote, and I wrote it down. It's oh man. And they say it a bunch. It says, "You are a fan. Without you, I am nothing."
Hunter Dunbar.
And so we're like, oh, I wrote down Hunter Dunbar. Like, look up who that is later. I want to know who that quote's from. And then I realized, oh, it's the main character.
Yeah.
That is a quote from the main character in this film. I can't think of many other movies that do that.
I think there are some, and I wish that I could remember
But
it.
I feel like they're good movies.
Yeah, they're usually
if you're making a really good movie, then you're allowed to do that, I guess.
Okay, so he goes to Hunter's house, and Hunter's coming back from a jog with his kid, and this is the scene that was in all the trailers because they're right outside his like gate, and it's a tense scene.
Yeah, and it almost looked, I don't know why we all thought he stabbed him, that Hunter stabs Moose.
I think it's meant to evoke a stabbing because
the sound and the motion and everything.
Because he takes the pen from Moose and it's like, oh, you want an autograph? And like he signs his chest very aggressively.
Yeah, so he signs Hunter across his shirt, and then, oh boy, Moose is not happy about that. And all I could think of was that episode of Hey Arnold that has this exact same plot.
Oh, man, we forgot to watch it.
I know, we forgot to watch it. Does it more sensitively than this.
Who's the character? Eugene?
Eugene, yeah.
Okay.
He goes bad. That's the episode.
Oh, that's
title.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And then there's like that security guard who is just Hollywood Boulevard security guard. And he...
yeah, because they all use this shared Hollywood Boulevard bathroom, which looks way too clean to be a Hollywood Boulevard bathroom.
Yeah, but
I don't know where that bathroom is at.
The pickpocketing performers on the ones who don't respect the boulevard, they keep teasing Moose. And so the security guard...
gives him this pep talk.
Yeah, he's like, I want you to stand up for yourself.
Yeah. He is just this weird... convenient friend that shows up.
I guess you could say, okay, I'm just thinking this aloud. In the first scene, he finds Moose getting picked on. He's like, I wish you would stand up for yourself. And then later, Moose gets physically confrontational when he's teased again with that guy, right? And he attacks him.
Yeah.
And he finds the security guard walks up to him, and Moose is like, no, I don't want to get in trouble. And the security guard's like, no, I'm proud of you for sticking up for yourself. So that may be motivation for Moose to step it up in actually going to Hunter's house.
Yeah.
This is also around when we find out that Hunter Dunbar has had sexual relations with his maid.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's what led to the divorce because
Hunter's a weird character because
you like him because he's Devin Sawa.
Well, yeah. Maybe that's why we had a hard time with it. We're just inclined to like him. But so we see that he's having a unprofessional relationship with his maid, who, by the way, gets killed, and then like we don't. Well, I guess the ending.
The very end is when it's brought back up. But
yeah.
I would say, I'll back it up a bit because the maid her name is Dora. She has a name, which I think is also the name of one of the maids in Ready or Not, come to think of it.
Dora.
Yeah, but I guess that's what you just name your maid. But she sees Moose prowling around the backyard, and she scares him away. And then Hunter comes home.
Yes, and she says, Hunter, there was a weird dude in your backyard. And keep in mind, this is after the scene where Moose shows up at Hunter's house, and Hunter has a freak out. So Hunter doesn't put two and two together. Oh, that guy was probably in my backyard. He just is super casual about it. And he's like, are you sure it wasn't the gardener?
Yeah, he dismisses her. It's so out of character.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's so like dumbly written that he would be like, no, you're full of shit, maid.
Come make out with me.
Yeah, so instead, when he sees she's actually upset, he like hugs her and then starts like going to make out with her. And she's like, I don't think we can do this anymore, which leads me to believe it was the cause of the divorce.
This movie jumps back and forth a lot too, by the way, so I'm sorry if it feels like we're jumping all over the place. But at one point, Moose has a confrontation with the two kind of grifters on Hollywood Boulevard who pickpocket people who are named, I forget what the main guy's name is, but Slim is Bill Paxton's kid.
Which is why at the very end of the credits,
there's a dedicated to Bill Paxton, which we didn't realize that was his kid, and so caught us completely off guard and was just a weird little cherry on top at first. But it makes sense now that his kid is in it. But I wrote this quote down because it's maybe my favorite line. He tells the main bully, quote,
I wish Freddy Krueger would come and chop off your head.
Yeah, at this point I wrote that it's taking so long. So many scenes are just Moose, and it's just not interesting.
It's boring. That's the kind of one of the most unfortunate things about this is it's not even fun bad. It's just really boring.
Because all the scenes, the dialogue is just so fucking basic and poorly written and just like first draft dialogue that any scene with characters talking just sucks.
Yeah, it's a bummer because I think there is a version of this that is interesting and campy and fun. It bugs me. I see the little nuggets of potential hidden in here, but it just doesn't quite do it.
Yeah, so Moose comes back to his house and
he actually breaks in this time.
Yeah, and the maid comes out again and Dora comes out again and he pushes her and she cracks her head open on a fountain and dies.
Yeah, and this is the scene where he looks and her nose is bleeding because she is dead after a very large head wound, and he's like, nosebleed, that's bad.
I got a nosebleed one time.
It's very like he doesn't realize that she's dead, and then we kind of forget about her until the very end, and it really bothers me that Devin Sawa, for seemingly days, does not realize there's a dead body in his yard.
Yeah, it's not even like it's just in the fucking backyard, dude. You can probably see it from the window.
Right, exactly. Yeah, when he's making breakfast, he would see, or when he realizes no one's making my breakfast, then he would notice.
Yeah.
So Moose is walking around. He opens the fridge and finds.
Yeah, he goes into the house.
I just feel like this never really paid off either. He finds this weed butter? Question mark.
Is it though?
I don't know what it is.
It's something that he's eating, but he
looks
laments,
like weed butter or like what's that stuff we always get from? It's like the
Vegemite?
Oil dip. No, not Vegemite. The oil dip from Lala's.
Chimichurri sauce?
Yes, it looks like chimichurri sauce.
A little bit. But he's eating that. He's lamenting that the poor son, Danny, doesn't have any ice cream
in the freezer. Which, fair. That's upsetting.
Sure.
Any freezer without ice cream is a sad freezer.
But yeah, Moose is going through all of Devin's his pills, his toothbrush. He uses his toothbrush. He watches his camcorder.
Yeah, he eats this weed butter in the fridge. And all I could think of was that stuff from Mandy. That
Oh,
gray
God.
stuff that Nick Cage eats, and then everything turns into like claymation and people's faces are melting off.
What does he do when Devin comes home with his son?
He just hides under the bed.
Hides under the bed.
He
Okay,
hides under
that's what he's doing.
his son's bed, which is weirder.
Yeah.
And
Oh, also, the kid, this is another Final Destination 2 type situation where the kid is being treated as a much younger
how old is the kid
character
supposed to be?
than the actor's
I wrote down,
age.
what is he? Yes, he's so Devin is tucking his kid into bed, and he's like, now remember, mom says you gotta brush your teeth twice a day. You gotta do it twice a day.
He's like
Dude, you're like 13.
He's like micromanaging his kids,
Yes.
teeth brushing and everything.
And even at the part where his ex pulls up with the kid in the back, before you see that it's his kid in the back, he looks into the car and says, hey, buddy. And I thought there was going to be a dog in the back or a puppy. And no, it's a 13-year-old. Devin, then we see him. He's fallen asleep in his dad chair.
Dad chair, dude.
Man.
You don't come back from that.
No, you don't. Once you hit a certain age and you fall asleep in your dad chair and the TV's on, that's it.
That's it, dude.
You're not coming back from that brink.
That's the rest of your life.
Hallmark of being a dad is you have your chair. My dad's had the same dad chair since probably before I was born. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's fucking gross.
Yes.
It reclines, not your dad's chair
But
specifically.
in general, no, all dad chairs are
Yeah.
disgusting.
And you fall asleep in it, reclined with the TV
with the
on.
TV on always.
And that's it. You're never going to be not that person
so
again.
Tragic.
Mhm.
So this is when Moose comes in and he kisses him on the forehead.
And like takes a selfie with him, which we find out later he
takes
posts
the
online.
selfie and drops the phone onto
But Devin's a deep sleeper. He
I
doesn't
guess
wake
so.
up.
I bet he drank a few whiskeys or something before going to
Sure.
sleep.
Oh, and isn't on the TV Night of the Living Dead?
Of course, yep.
Because it's
And then that's when
public
Moose
domain.
has a flashback to his childhood watching. He's watching Night of the Living Dead as a kid.
Oh, okay.
And it's, of course, Night of the Living Dead is always on TV and horror films or just films in general because it was public domain for so long.
Mhm.
It is funny that this character is such a horror buff, but his references to horror are so not, I don't want to say basic, but just, you know, what you would expect. Like Freddy Krueger.
He mentions Maniac, like I said.
I guess
That one
Maniac's
got
a
me,
bit
yeah.
more obscure.
Although he said the remake was overrated. I haven't seen it. I know people like it.
I've heard good things.
So maybe it is overrated.
Is that the
Who
Elijah
knows?
Wood one?
I believe so. Yeah.
So the next day, so Moose gets away with this. He basically spends the night in his house and doesn't get caught. So Devin is driving around with his kid, and Devin Sawa puts on Limp Bizkit and says, this is the good shit. And they just drive around and listen to Limp Bizkit for a bit.
And it's some song called The Truth, which, sorry, Fred, I don't fucking know what that is. That's not Gilded Age Bizkit.
But I love the idea of Hunter Dunbar being a deep cuts
Yeah,
Limp
right?
Bizkit
Like,
fan.
what the fuck?
He's stuck with them. Like
Yeah.
dude, I wonder, whoa, this is the turn. This is the script I want. Like, okay, we have Moose who is stalking Hunter. I want Hunter to be stalking Fred Durst. And then it turns into like an adaptation style, like a fucking Charlie Kaufman meta script.
Oh, man. That'd be so cool. And he's stalking him to be put in the movie that Fred Durst is making called
about
The Fanatic.
Yes.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's when it turns into a Charlie Kaufman movie.
Oh.
Let's get Charlie on the phone. I don't know what he's doing right now, but that's the movie I want so bad.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's such a fun script.
Yeah.
Because the idea of a really obsessive Limp Bizkit, they both start with L.I.
Sure.
Limp Bizkit fan is the best shit ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what? He's driving. Does he see Moose again?
Yeah. He's there's a moose in the road. He's literally standing there and he has to stop and he yells at him and Moose is sad and this is when I think Moose actually starts burning his Hunter Dunbar. I think he burns the Rico vest. It probably smells terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Burning that leather vest.
Yeah, he burns it all. He complains that Leah is no longer his
BBF.
What the fuck is that?
We were trying to figure out what that stood for.
Best bosom friend? I don't
Yeah,
know.
big beautiful friend. That's what Carrie said. Which I think is the best, but I thought maybe best buddy forever.
Mm-hmm. And then
Like big beautiful friend though.
I missed out on
No, I think
Devin's-
I think it cuts. I think it literally we see that Devin is or not Devin. We see that Moose is getting ready to do something, and then I think it kind of cuts, and then Devin is like tied up.
Oh, okay.
So what happens is I think there really is like a jump, and then Hunter is tied up in his bed. It's very Misery style, like he's tied up like James Caan. In
Yeah,
that
it's
movie.
very. This is the Misery.
I'm shocked.
This was a pause for another beer, and oh fuck, a whole nother
it's the
half
Act
hour
3
is left. Yeah.
Misery reference.
We literally
part.
paused it at 30 and at 60
Yeah.
minutes inadvertently.
You know what? I mean, maybe it is a
Credit to the
credit to
structure
the
of this
script.
film.
We knew subconsciously when the ends of Act 1 and 2 were.
That's right.
I will give them credit for that. We didn't even have to think about it.
Right.
So maybe if you're in a screenwriting class, because that's always one of the first assignments you got to do is you got to break down like the beats. Take a look at this one because it might be easy.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
already gave you the thing with the security guard, his purpose, that beat. Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
So when Devin wakes up, he sees Moose on the floor, and it looks like Moose is bleeding out. But then it also is a scream thing. It just reminded me of corn syrup because it's fake blood and stuff.
But he gets up and he says, "You've been jigsawed.
Yeah,
Game over."
That's another very good quote. You've been jigsawed. Game over. And I feel like I say that in my life at you sometimes, or at least just the game over part because it's my favorite.
And then he's coming in as Jason, dressed up as Jason and scaring him. Then he makes a Mr. Blonde reference.
That's right.
He's like stuck in the middle.
And he brought over a bunch of gasoline and is pouring it on
Yeah.
Devin Sawa and is going to light him up. And it's fun. I like that he's also a film buff, you know. He likes Reservoir Dogs too. I hope Quentin saw this.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he didn't.
You know.
So to try to get out of it, Devin is offering to like sign his stuff.
Why wasn't this movie, again, just other ideas, just other things we could be doing? And as much as I love having Devin Sawa in this, why isn't it John Travolta stalking John Travolta?
Oh, because that's too hard. From a production standpoint.
You know what? That's more days you got to pay.
Exactly.
John Travolta.
That's a lot of work.
But also, again, Charlie Kaufman, write that script.
Leah is still narrating these scenes. I don't know why.
Yes, for a second too, I thought that we were gonna have a head in a bag moment. He was gonna say, "You've been sevened," because Devin's asking, "What's in the bag?" But it was gasoline.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's when, out of desperation, Devin Sawa says, "You're a fan, and I'm nothing without you." And Moose makes him repeat that a few times.
This is after, I think it's after when he's like, you don't even know anything about horror movies, which I'm sure plenty of horror actors get all the time.
Yes.
Because like, you know, if you're an actor, even if you're a horror actor who goes to conventions, you're still doing a job. You're not necessarily a giant horror fan.
Right, yeah.
But I'm sure that upsets some horror fans who are like, Bruce Campbell, you don't even know fucking Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah.
It's like, no, Bruce Campbell's got a life.
Yeah, you're right. He has other interests, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And then he also says he's not being a good dad because he doesn't keep ice cream in the freezer. And he says this is my favorite advice for parenting from Moose, which I agree with. You got to get your kids some good tasting treats and horror pictures.
Yep.
Is that what he says? And
signed off from
I think
Chelsea
that's
and
pretty
James.
solid.
There's a very funny line delivery when Devin is saying he'll sign stuff for him, and he's like, "So what's your name?" Because he hasn't gotten his name this whole time, and John Travolta says Moose, and there's just this great beat, and he's just like, "Did you say Moose?"
And so to kind of talk down Moose from hurting him, because he does stab him a little bit. I don't want he lightly stabs him, but he does.
Oh yeah, because he's reenacting something.
Because he's basically pretending to be Jason, and then pokes him a little bit with this knife. But to keep this from escalating, Devin says, "All right, look, let's do an acting exercise together. I'm gonna let you in on kind of how I prep for stuff." So they do a visualization acting technique. So
I don't know. It's breathing. It's kind of my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, it's fine.
Because it gets stylized, and it's like this rose tinted.
And he's saying,
blurry...
"Okay, imagine us being BBFs, and we get ice cream together. We get strawberry ice cream. And so then he's able to really kind of placate Moose and get him to calm down.
I think this whole sequence is some great acting from Devin.
Yes, he's very good.
Yeah, you see the turn in his character as he realizes he can't be combative anymore with this character and that he's going to try a new tact of like buttering him up and like that he really like you can see it in Hunter. This like Hunter is an actor, so he is acting as though he is a fan, and you can just see just barely below the surface of Hunter's actions this like resentment that he has to do it, but he's keeping the show going well enough to make Moose believe it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And that's when Moose gets close enough to him that Hunter's able to just headbutt him.
Well, Moose unties him.
Oh, that's right. He does. Because
he's like, "Look, we're going to go get ice cream.
And I'll
I'm gonna
sign all kinds.
this
I have all
stuff."
these props. That
Yeah,
I'll
I will
for you.
sign whatever you want for the rest of your life if you let me go,
That's
and I
a
won't tell the
promise.
police. I promise I won't tell the police.
Right.
He says that.
He keeps that promise, I guess.
We'll talk about that. But yes, Moose unties him.
Yeah.
And then he headbutts him.
That's when Hunter reaches under the pillow and there's a giant gun under there and he shoots off Moose's hand.
Yeah.
It's
like,
so
fingers
gross.
gone.
There's decent
It's
gore in this, I will say.
extremely graphic.
It's
Did not
really
expect
gross.
this. But now you have this autistic character.
It's very weird
This
and
is
very,
very
uncomfortable. I think that this maybe was trying to be
Edgy, yeah.
like I don't know what it's doing.
And I guess okay.
He stabs Moose in the eye.
Well, so you have this maimed Moose. His hand has been shot off. He is screaming. He is bleeding. He is trying to run away from Hunter, who is now untied entirely. But Hunter won't let him go. He takes him down to the ground, takes out a knife, and with flourish, stabs him in the face.
Yeah.
Literally, like, hardcore.
It's so gross.
The thing that I will give it credit for is his immediate reaction.
That's when he realizes, oh, this is happening in my house.
Yeah. It's like, because, like, we've seen movies where this happens, and it's like, you know, assuming the person being stabbed isn't autistic and there aren't those problems associated with it, you're like, yeah, get him, get this vengeance,
right?
And you root him on. But the second that knife goes into Moose's face, somehow not hitting his brain, I guess, Hunter realizes, oh fuck, I just stabbed a guy in the face.
You've been Halloween. You've been Michael Myers.
So it's more great stuff from Devin.
Yeah.
That immediate, like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And he gets up and he bandages up Moose's hand. I'd probably go for the face.
I would go for the giant gushing face wound first, but
and again,
that's
the
just
gore
me.
is intense.
Yeah, there's good gore in this.
And helps him up and leads him out of the house.
And that's when the cops show up.
Well, yeah, Moose gets away enough. Moose is gone from the property.
Yep.
And then the narration from Leo, which that
is there for a reason.
She's like, everything was fine for Moose, even though he was fucked up, but Dora was still dead, and that wasn't fine for Hunter. And the cops show up and arrest Hunter. I'm sorry, but no.
Yeah.
What? Okay, so what? Are we meant to believe that when Hunter said, I promise I won't call the cops, that when the cops showed up for the dead maid in his backyard, he kept that promise for no fucking reason?
I think again, I don't know if this script is operating on a higher level, but I just think,
because the alternative is that he tried to tell them what happened.
And he got it. Yeah, that's what I think happened.
And
he tried, and they're
him.
like, all right, dude.
But that's bullshit. Because if the cops showed up for Dora's dead body and Hunter explained everything that happened, everything that we just saw, the cops could look at we didn't see scenes of Moose fucking cleaning up things or like fabricating evidence. All the cops would have to do is like look around and be like, oh yeah, that story checks out.
There's a third person's blood all over this house.
We'll go find the guy with 6 fingers and a knife wound in his face.
And a haircut where the hair doesn't reach his ears. It is such a bizarre, I kind of love the hair choice. My first reaction was it's like a character creation hairstyle from a video game, like a wrestling game. And then it also reminded me of, so yesterday we were both looking at articles of, because I just watched The King, that movie about Henry V, and so we were looking at like old Kings Wikipedia articles, and we were laughing at how all the art from like the 13 and 1400s is everyone's just looking weird, and that's what his hair reminds. It's like an old king.
Yeah.
He would fit right in, you know. He looks like a painting. We both thought that the cops were gonna shoot Hunter, and then we were like, "Huh, you've been Night of the Living Deaded."
Oh yeah.
That's maybe also, you know, because this is kind of what happens in Night of the Living Dead-ish, except Hunter doesn't get shot because he's white. And they don't think he's a zombie. I don't know, man.
That's the movie.
That's the
John
movie.
Travolta is Moose is the credits.
Yes. There's also one last little chalk drawing. There's like these kind of sprinkled throughout chalk
They're the
drawings,
best
and it's
part of the
of
movie.
Moose is dressed up like an angel pirate.
Oh, yeah.
He's a pirate going to heaven, but dude, I don't know. This movie kind of sucked to talk about. I wish it was more fun, and it wasn't. Dedicated to Bill Paxton.
Dedicated to Bill.
Yeah, so that's the Fanatic. Some people really like this, apparently.
Who?
I got some
Show
responses on Twitter.
yourselves.
People liking this.
Whatever. You can like a movie.
Yeah, go for it. That's that for this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we'll
go ahead and do all the social media stuff at Dead Meat James on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm at Carebecc, Rebecc on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want merch, store.com. I think as of this episode, I finally have Be Good People pins up on the store. 100% of profits on those go to Insulin for Life. That's a organization that gets diabetes supplies to people who need them.
We ain't taking no money from Be Good People.
That's going to be we're not going to profit off Be Good People. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Cool.
Yeah. Until next week, I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
And this has been the Dead Meat Podcast.